He has spoken on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J. Loren Norris.
There are so few things that are as enjoyable as getting up before the chickens to make sure that what needs to be done gets done. So few things in life as enjoyable as being up when the sun comes up, because if you don't get an early start on the day gets away from you. But when you're a leader, you're going to find that getting up early, getting ahead of the game, getting ahead of the start, getting a head start on the day, on yourself, on the discipline to get up early and get busy, that by itself sets you apart even from other leaders. You'll also find that if you're the kind of person who gets up, gets at it, gets started early on, the chances that you'll be recognized as a leader even before the title comes your way, or the job promotion comes your way, or the company that you want to run comes your way, you'll be recognized long before that when you have the discipline to get up early and do it. In fact, Marvelous Marvin Hagler said, "It's the road work at 5 a.m. that's hard to do when you've slept all night in silky pajamas." That's what I want to talk about today on Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J. Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I can tell you there are a lot of things that leaders do. Leaders on a football team, on a basketball team, on a track team, leaders who are coaches, leaders who are teachers, leaders who run their own business, small businesses or enormous businesses. And the things that those leaders do are usually done in the dark. They're the kinds of effort that have to be done when nobody's paying any attention. Or sometimes that leader may be the one who shows up early and goes over the building once more to make sure that everything is clean and all the tools are in the right place and they're ready to launch the day. It may be the track coach who's out making sure that the track is prepared and all the devices necessary for the track meet are in place. It may be the coach who's up getting in their own workout because they're going to spend the rest of the day overseeing somebody else's. See, these are the kinds of things that leaders do. There's another phrase for that. It's called getting in the reps. Getting in the reps. The people that I coach in public speaking and in leadership, I insist that they get in the reps as well. That they tell their stories as many times as they can, in as many environments as they can. Sometimes, many times, most times, not for other people. Nope. They're getting in the reps, but they're getting in the reps in their own head and in their own heart. And they're asking themselves, could I have told that better? Am I telling the truth? Is what I have to say going to be transformative in somebody else's life? They're getting in the reps. They're not sleeping in sulky pajamas and hoping to pop up at 5 a.m. and go do the road work necessary of a boxer, but they are putting in the hard labor, the emotional labor, the mental labor of going over their stories and their speeches and their presentations. Because although there are many people who are gifted enough to step up in front of a crowd at a moment's notice and deliver a message that could be powerful and entertaining and emotionally evocative, the speech that has been poured over, that has been labored over, the speech that has been prepared again and again before it's delivered the first time, the one that's been rehearsed and recognized again and again. That's a whole different kind of a speech. Now, I want to go two different ways with that exact same philosophy because I hold both sides of that philosophy. On the one side, I would say, if you have something deep in your heart to say, You should be able to deliver that without having to have 10 pages of script or word for word in front of you to read off of a teleprompter. I don't do that. Someone made a comment the other day that my eyes weren't looking right into the lens when I talked. Well, I have a feedback monitor literally 8 inches under the camera that I'm talking to right now. But that camera has an immediate feedback monitor as well. They're about 2 inches different from each other. So if I were looking at that feedback monitor, it would look like this. Can you tell the difference? It's about 2 inches. But if you can notice the difference there, it's because I haven't prepared well enough, or I'm using a feedback monitor that's not necessary for me. I don't have to look down here at the screen to figure out which camera's on or what I'm looking at because I'm the one that controls that. See, all of this is called prep time. I've been doing this episode. This is episode 1284 of this morning live presentation. I've been doing it between 6:20 and 7 a.m. almost every day, Monday through Friday, with the exception of holidays and days that I'm too sick to get out of bed or injured myself doing something stupid the day before, like when the dog pulled me down and I slammed my face on the ground and I had a bloody forehead. Other than that, I've been right here in front of this camera. Even when this camera wasn't the full studio setup that it is now, even when this camera was nothing but an iPhone on a tripod at my daughter's house because we were away on vacation, even when this morning time slot was halfway up the road on the middle of the roadside and my son used his phone flashlight to be able to light me up and we put a phone on a tripod in front of a highway monument, I've been here to do this podcast. Well, now this podcast is through Anchor FM and Spotify, is available in audio version and video version on Spotify and Apple and Google Market and dozens that I'm not even aware of because it's syndicated. But it's still available to you live right on Facebook, right on LinkedIn, right on Twitter. We upload it to Rumble. It goes through OBBM Network and Liftable TV. Why? Because I've put in the reps. 1,284 reps. If we were counting push-ups, that would be a lot of push-ups. No, I cannot do that many push-ups. But how many times have you practiced, rehearsed, put in the reps, got up early in the morning to do the work that you claim you do? How many times have you said, forget the convenience, forget the silky pajamas in the bed, I'm going to pop up and I'm going to do what I claim that I do. I'm going to do it the best that I can. Of course, there are ways to perfect what you're doing. There are ways to improve the scale of what you're doing. There are ways to better monetize what you're doing. There are opportunities to grow and scale from where you are. And it doesn't matter if you're delivering one peach pie every Friday to the same lady at 4 blocks down, or if you're selling 10,000 peach pies a month. There's always something you could do a little better, something you could perfect the science on, so to speak, something you could master that would make what you're already doing a little better than what you're doing. And chances are that one thing you could do is get in more reps, get more practiced, be evaluative in the way that you do what you're doing and ask yourself, what could I do a little bit better? How would I tweak my performance or my investment or my relationships, the product or service that I offer? See, the more you do what you do, the better you get at what you're doing. And sometimes, oftentimes, that practice is better done when nobody's watching. It really is. Because sometimes the evaluation that needs to be done, the most critical evaluation, is your own. Now, sometimes you've got to be ready to take that to the next level and go, okay, I'm ready for somebody to hold me accountable to the getting in of the reps. I need somebody to hold me accountable for doing it right. Why? Because the old phrase is not actually true that says practice makes perfect. No, practice makes permanent. And if you're practicing it wrong, you're probably going to do it wrong on game day. Now, again, game day may be delivering that peach pie 4 blocks down, or delivering 12,000 peach pies to a grocery chain, or delivering a speech at a Toastmasters event, or delivering a speech in front of 10,000 people at a TED Talk. However you have to deliver your service, just understand you will play how you practice. If you practice wrong, you're going to play wrong. If you don't get in the reps, if you don't do the work, in the dark when nobody's watching. If you're not taking the time to go through it again and again, then chances are you're going to make a mess. Now, here's my contrast. I'm also a firm believer that when you've practiced well enough, and you've practiced long enough, that what you do will look and seem like second nature. I have an arsenal of stories because stories are the primary focus and the tool of communication that I work on, because stories work in here and stories work in here and stories work in here and stories work in here. And so I teach people the power of stories. I call it story power. But because I've been doing that for a decade now, there are stories that roll off my tongue that you would think I was reading a script on, because I can nail them within a few words or a few modifications based on the audience in front of me. I can nail them time and time again within a 2-minute window because I practiced them. Oh, they sound natural. They sound like just right in the middle of the conversation, and they are, because they're impromptu, so to speak. They're just part of the conversation. I'm answering a question with a story that's been crafted to answer that question, a story that's been intentionally crafted to reach the heart of the audience that I'm talking to connect emotionally with the people in front of me. A story that's been crafted, a story that's been written word for word, things scratched out, started over, asking the question, is that really the word I want to use here? Is that going to trigger somebody? Is that going to invoke in them some emotion that we don't want to be stirred up? Or is that going to cause them to reflect and go, wow, me too? See, the power of a good story is to do that. But when that rehearsal has been done well enough, when you've got it into your heart and you've got it into your head, it's like the muscle memory of the batter who's batting .500 on a regular basis. They know where the ball's coming. They know how to connect with the ball. They know how to deliver the ball into the grandstands. That's what I do with stories. That's what a great baker does with a peach pie. That's what a great accountant does with your paperwork and your bookkeeping. They know how to hit the mark every time, how to have everything delivered on time, how to have the paperwork proper for the IRS or whomever else wants to review it. Maybe you're ready to sell your business. Your accountant is the one who has got in the reps. They understand the law. They know the process. They know how to fill it out. They know what to answer and what to avoid. And that's highly valuable. It looks second nature to them. It looks like they just did it on a whim. It feels like it's got to come so easy to them. They must be a natural. You watch a good boxer like a Mike Tyson or a Marvelous Marvin Hagler, what you're going to see is that these guys look like they woke up, jumped out of bed, and they were a boxer when they were born. And the truth of the matter is, they didn't sleep in silky pajamas the night before. They probably slept in their running shoes, and they got up at 5 a.m. and they got in the reps on the road, and they got in the reps in the gym, and they got in front of another boxer and got their face smashed in a couple of times, because it's the conflict of perfection. It's that practicing which makes permanent, that muscle memory, emotional muscle memory, vocal muscle memory, actual muscle memory. Those are the things that practice makes permanent. Those are the things that if you're doing them right along the way, you will become better and better at what you do. And that's an attitude and an attribute of leaders. Leaders who are willing to get up early, start on their own, be self-starters, as you might say, take the initiative, and have the intuition to know that I don't have it all figured out. I'm going to have to get some advice somewhere, but until I get that advice, until someone has the wherewithal to critique me properly, I'm going to do what I know to the best of my ability as hard and as often as I can until I reach the level that I desire. And then I'll raise my goals and I'll push for another level. None of that happens by accident. It requires that a leader have the initiative to get up and get busy, to actually take action, to do something. And if you're the kind of person who calls themselves a leader or holds that title of leader, manager, supervisor, and you're not the kind of person who has that initiative, better clean up your rearview mirrors and sharpen the focus a little bit. Chances are somebody's coming up behind you who is taking the initiative, who is doing the road work at 5 a.m., who's putting in the extra hours, who's studying when they're not at work and not studying while they are at work. I heard Grant Cardone say the other day, if you look at my sales team, they're all top-notch salespeople. They're all well-trained salespeople. They're all professional salespeople, but they do not train at work. When they're at work, they're here to sell. They train on their own time. That's what makes them so good. That is a challenging obstacle for a lot of people because they think, well, if I work here, you ought to be the one training me. And he says, no, if you want to work here, you better come trained or be willing to train in your own time. Leaders do the road work. It's hard to do the road work at 5 a.m. when you're sleeping in silky pajamas. Don't take it too easy on yourself because everybody else will too. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.